I was sitting in the coffee shop trying to tell my best friend Mark about the car accident that nearly killed me, but he just laughed and told me I was overreacting to a fender bender. I stood there with the medical report in my hand, the memories of the shattering glass and the smell of burning rubber still fresh in my mind, while he scrolled through his phone and told me about a bad date he had last night. I had been in the hospital for 3 days with a concussion and a broken ribs, but to him it was just another dramatic story I was telling for attention. I felt a cold, hollow sensation in my gut as I realized that the person I had known for 15 years didn't actually care if I lived or died. Mark had always been the kind of person who had to have the biggest problem in the room, a man who couldn't handle anyone else receiving sympathy. I had spent years listening to his complaints about his job, his parents, and his minor inconveniences, always offering a shoulder to cry on and a helping hand. But as I sat there, shaking from the residual trauma of the crash, I realized that our friendship was a one-way street, where I was the only person providing any support. He actually had the nerve to tell me that I should be grateful the car was insured, and that I was milking the injury for a week off work. I'm glad you think nearly being crushed by a semi-truck is a vacation, Mark, but I think I'm done being the audience for your life. Setting up and grabbing my keys. He looked up from his phone with a look of fake innocence and told me that I was being too sensitive, and that he was just trying to lighten the mood. He actually tried to stop me from leaving by telling me that he needed a ride to the airport next weekend, as if my car hadn't been totaled 48 hours ago. I felt a surge of adrenaline that made my vision blur, a realization that I had been keeping a parasite in my life for over a decade. I didn't answer his calls for the next month, and I spent my recovery time focusing on my physical therapy and the people who actually showed up at the hospital with flowers and food. I realized that by cutting him out, I was finally able to breathe without the weight of his constant negativity and dismissiveness. Mark eventually sent me an angry text accusing me of being a bad friend for not being there for him when he broke up with his girlfriend, but I didn't even respond. I just deleted the message and blocked his number, feeling a massive sense of relief that I was finally free of his ego. I learned that you can't force someone to be empathetic, and that a long history with a person doesn't give them the right to minimize your pain. I have a new circle of friends now who actually listen when I speak and who show up when things get difficult, and the difference in my mental health is staggering. I'm much more careful about the people I let into my inner circle, and I value transparency and mutual respect above everything else. I still have some physical scars from the accident, but the emotional scars from that friendship have finally started to heal. I'm doing great, and I've realized that being alone is 1,000 times better than being with someone who makes you feel invisible.